Thanks for your help, Johanna. I never would have gotten all those old scripts in order without you. My pleasure, Gramps. It was kind of fun. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Gramps, I have a question. Sure, what is it? Well, Noah and I have been reading and reading in the Bible, the Old Testament, and it seems that it's all battles and wars and fighting. Yes, it was a violent time of the world. Countries forming, being taken over, people forsaking God and doing evil. Yeah, for hundreds and hundreds of years. But Gramps, aren't there any nice stories in the Bible? Maybe even some romance? Oh, I see what you mean, Johanna. But I think maybe the outcome of battles and wars were of more historical significance than a nice romantic story. Still, there's the Book of Ruth and a few others. Oh, please, Gramps, will you tell me one? Well, let's see. It was during the time of Judges, before Israel had kings. People had once again done evil in the sight of the Lord, and there was a serious drought in the land. So a man from Bethlehem, that's a little town, and his wife decided to move to the country of Moab until the drought ended. His name was Elimelech, and his wife was Naomi. Their sons were Mahlon and Chilion. Well, how long were they there? About 10 years. Elimelech died, leaving Naomi with her 2 boys. The boys married Moabite women, one named Orpah, the other Ruth. Then the boys also died. Oh, well, how sad. Naomi heard that God had ended the drought in Israel, so she decided to go home. She told her daughters-in-law that they should go back to their mothers' homes and maybe they could someday marry again. After some convincing, Orpah went, but Ruth begged Naomi to let her stay with her. She said, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Wherever you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, your God, my God. And where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me ever so severely if anything but death separates you and me." That's in Ruth chapter 1, verses 16 and 17. Well, that is lovely, Gramps. Ruth must have loved Naomi so much. She did. So Naomi and Ruth went to Bethlehem. Ruth went out to glean in the fields. What does that mean? Gleaning is following the harvest crews in the fields and gathering any food they might have left behind. Humans still do that sometimes. Oh, so she did that so they could eat while they were getting settled. Yes. And while she was gleaning, the owner of the field, a man named Boaz, came along and noticed her. He found out who she was and told his crew to be good to her. He told her to stay with the workers and to feel free to drink from the water provided to them. He even invited her to eat with them. Wow, he was sure nice to her. I wonder why. Well, Ruth asked the same question. He told her it was because he had heard how good she had been to Naomi. And when Ruth got home that evening, carrying the food she'd gathered, and told Naomi where she'd been, Naomi was excited. Oh, why? Well, it seems that Boaz was a close relative of Elimelech and her sons. She agreed that it would be safer for Ruth to stay with his crew while she gleaned, and when harvest was over, Naomi explained that Boaz was Ruth's kinsman redeemer. I never heard of that. What does it mean? Well, among the Jews at that time, property was kept in the family. If a man died and some of his property was for sale, his male relatives, in the order of who was most closely related, had the first choice to buy it. The dead man's widow was also married to one of his relatives in the same way. That man was called a kinsman redeemer. It was a way to take care of widows and of keeping the dead man's branch of the family alive. There were also many rules about who could and who could not act as a kinsman redeemer to protect a man's own estate. It's kind of complicated, but anyway, Naomi told Ruth to get cleaned up and put on her nicest clothes, and then go to the threshing floor, that's the place where they process the grain for use and for sale. After Boaz had eaten and laid down to sleep, Ruth was to lay down at his feet. In the middle of the night, Boaz woke up. Imagine his surprise when he found a woman at his feet. I'll bet he was. Ruth asked him to spread the corner of his garment over her, since he was one of her kinsman redeemers. That's a way of asking him to redeem her. Oh, how beautiful. Well, Boaz said he'd like that, but he wasn't the first in line as a kinsman, so he would speak to the man who was closer and see if he could settle the matter. He gave Ruth 6 measures of grain and sent her home. Oh, the suspense is killing me. What happened? Well, all right, I'll try to hurry along here. The next day, Boaz rounded up about 10 of his friends to act as witnesses and went to the city gate where he met his kinsman. First, he said that Naomi was selling a property which belonged to her husband, and since the kinsman was first in line, Boaz asked if he wanted to buy it. The man said he did. Uh-oh. Well, but Boaz then reminded him that whoever bought the land also became the redeemer of the owner's widow, who would be expected to provide an heir to Ruth's husband, as she was the only widow who had not had children and had returned to Israel. The relatives said, "Oh, I can't buy it then. That would endanger my estate. So you're next in line. You redeem the land and the woman." Yay! So it all worked out great. Yay! So Boaz and Ruth were soon married. They eventually had a son whom they named Obed. Naomi was the baby's nanny. Oh, so romantic. Such a beautiful story. I love it. Well, that's not the end either. Obed was King David's grandfather. Ruth was an ancestor of God's son, Jesus Christ. Well, how wonderful, Gramps. That is my favorite Bible story ever. Well, there are more that are just as beautiful if you just keep reading. I'm going to go straighten up those scripts. I'll see you later, girl. Oh, I love that story. Be not dismayed, whate'er betide, God will take care of you. Beneath his wings of love abide, God will take care of you. God will take care of you through every day or all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care